congratulations. It was a really weird fight to watch because I like you and I like DC, and it was like heartbreaking to watch him break down like that. But I was happy for you.
Thank you.
Because it's like you went through a time where things were fucked up, and now you came back and you were great.
Yeah, I do believe everyone loves a good redemption story.
Yeah.
And I was aware of that going into the fight, and leading up to the fight, and just try to do everything in my power to be that great comeback story. And this is what it's been, and the support has been tremendous. Just so many people writing me and talking about how just my story has inspired them to just keep moving forward, and it's great to be looked at as a person who is really hard to be defeated by life.
Did you because I thought he looked really good. Like, he looked much looser, and he was getting inside. He was closing the distance really much better than I think in the first fight. At the end of the first round, I was looking at you sitting there, and you looked a little bit like, okay, I'm in a fight now. So how did you feel at the end of that first round?
After a round, actually, so I didn't warm up properly. After the first round, Daniel definitely was doing a really good job, and he was fighting a lot better than I expected him to fight. But my lungs were opening up, and any athlete would know the feeling where it's like when you do that first sprint and how you can't breathe, and then after you kind of warm up a little bit, you can you get your second win and you can move a little better.
Right.
That's what I was going through after round one. I thought I had a great warm up, but I didn't focus enough on my lungs, and so dude, after round one, I was like, oh my goodness, like I was just focusing on some breathing exercises that I try to do. So I think that's what you saw, just that frantic look in my face. But after I got my breathing under control, I felt like I got my lungs warmed up. I got back to being calm, cool, and collected, and just having fun out there. But Daniel did a hell of a job, dude. He definitely was a lot better than he used to be, which makes me feel good about myself because I beat a better version.
Yeah.
After almost 2 years off. So something to be said about that.
How'd you feel about about his breakdown after the fight when they went to interview him and he's crying?
I felt bad for him. At the end of the day, there is no mercy in combat, and I do feel as if he would have won, it would have been a complete different energy. It would have been in your face, I'm the champ, I told you, I was the greatest. And literally, like in round two, he was starting to talk to me. I've never had anybody talk to me during a fight before. He started pointing his finger at me and like, oh, you're missing, and saying all this shit during the fight. So he was being arrogant, just thinking that he was going to win. I could only imagine the way he would have acted if he would have actually won. So with that being said, I'm glad at the way that I handled the situation, because it definitely it's helped me develop a lot of respect that I thought was unsalvageable, and obviously it wasn't. The respect and the just the fan support has been tremendous. So.
And I had interviewed you on UFC Unfiltered. We were talking about you possibly moving up to heavyweight, and you said like, yeah, I've thought about it, but I want to make sure I pick the right guy. I don't want to go too heavy. I want to stay around 235. And then you call out Brock Lesnar, the biggest moose to ever fight in the UFC. What made you call out? Is that just because that's a huge money fight?
Yeah, it's a big money fight. It's like I think I was inspired by Conor McGregor, to be honest with you, to just dare and to reach higher. Me versus Brock Lesnar is somewhat equivalent to Mayweather and McGregor. A lot of people would assume that I would lose that fight. Brock Lesnar is super athletic. He was a Division I national wrestling champion. He's older, but he's just a freak. He's a rare talent, and I don't know what the betting odds would be on that one. And so it's just like, you know what? Do the impossible. Be the David and David and Goliath story. Sure. Just the same way, McGregor dares to compete against Floyd Mayweather. It's like, you know what? If you come up short, at least you have more balls than the average American to even step in there. If you win, just the glory that comes with beating a Floyd Mayweather or beating a Brock Lesnar. Right. It's huge.
What weight do you walk around at normally?
I walk around at about 230.
Okay, so you'd probably be giving up 25 or 30 pounds to him. I wonder what he walks around at. I mean, he fights like, what, 265?
I would imagine he's a full about 275. Yeah. But he has to fight at 265.
265, yeah.
Do you know what is the likelihood of him getting into an octagon is? Because, like, a couple weeks ago is when they started saying that he was going to start trying to campaign for eligibility.
Yeah.
And then, but, like, this weekend I was reading that he's not doing that anymore, and he's just using it as bargaining so he can stay with WWE.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't really looked into Brock Lesnar's situation too much. I know that once he enters the drug testing pool, he would have to complete 6 months of that. Right now, he's refusing to join in the drug testing pool. So, I mean, I'm not accusing him of being on steroids or whatever. I don't see why you wouldn't just start the process if you were being a clean athlete. But I don't know what's going to happen with him. But I know Brock's a great businessman, and I know he knows this will be huge money. And I'm 40 pounds lighter than him, so I'm sure that just the thought of being the first person to defeat me is really, it has to be running through his mind in the payday. So I'm sure the fight it's going to happen. It's just going to be a matter of time.
So even like, let's say today, he was like, okay, I'm gonna jump into that pool. It's 6 months before he can even think about having a fight.
Right.
I see.
But can you guys, if say he jumps into the pool now, can they at least book the fight and go, okay, we're looking at February?
Yeah, I would imagine they could start promoting the fight just the same way I was promoting my last fight while I was still technically suspended. So yeah, I'm sure they could do that for Brock.
Were you afraid at one point that your career was over? Did that and thought even though athletically you can still do it? Was there that point like I've just spiraled and I can't get out of this?
After the hit and run 2 years ago, I started thinking, man, there is no coming back from this. I mean, not to get into it, but it was so ugly. It was such an ugly situation, and I just felt like I was in an unforgivable position. And then I started getting talked to by mentors, and people was just saying, John, there's been so many athletes who's done so much worse. Not to compare yourself and make what you did any lighter, but I mean, there's been some athletes that's come back from terrible accusations or whatever, the allegations, and so they was just like, what you did was a mistake. It was you being young, having too much fun. It's not like you are this malicious, terrible human being. You're just doing dumb shit, and you got to snap out of it and get back what's yours. And watching Anthony Johnson and Daniel Cormier fight for my title, and hearing these type of things, I just thought, man, you know what? I need to be out there. I started thinking, potential is the worst. To have talent and to not be using it, it's the worst. And I was just like, I'm gonna not only come back, but I'm gonna come back in such a triumphant way and just and try to live the rest of my life better ultimately. Because I mean, I think that's the real win in the whole situation is doing the right things moving forward. And so yeah, to answer your question, I did think about quitting, but instead of actually quitting, like I think a lot of people would do when times go rough, I decided just to be on fire about life and about coming back and making it better than ever. And now we're here, feeling like I'm sitting on top of the world again.
Well, it's hard, too, like, when you're such a young guy and, like, you're being considered this greatest fighter on earth. I mean, Tyson had a hard time with that. I mean, when everything is all of a sudden people are like, oh, my God, this is the baddest man on the planet. I mean, this got to be difficult to not given any temptation.
What did it? Because, like you said, like, you were raised without any of this stuff as even a thing. Like, at what point did you start to become this party guy?
I think just growing up kind of like, we were definitely underprivileged family, and I think a lot of people, well, me anyways, I always had this desire to be the cool guy,
sure,
to be popular and stuff like that, and I became cool, I became cool and famous and rich, and it was just like, wow, it was not a life that I ever expected to live, and slowly but surely it just became harder and harder to turn down having a blast, and it just
sometimes it's that simple, right?
It really is.
I never got to have fun like this before, and now I just get to do whatever I want.
Yeah, do whatever you want. You just find yourself around a different reality than most people ever get to experience. And being a small town kid who grew up simple, man, it was a good dream come true. And now I see the danger in that, though, and I'm grateful for all the struggles that I've been through.
But you
'cause
were
I just
not-
feel like my life experience is so high right now.
You were not cool growing up.
I mean, I was the prom king at our high
Okay.
school. So I mean, and you know what? The reason why I was the prom king was I I wasn't like I was like I said I grew up super underprivileged or whatever. But I was the kid that was nice to everyone. So, you know, the kids in the special classes, you know, I knew a few of them and I was nice to them. You know, the nerdy kid over there or the poor kid over there or whatever, like the kid with a disability, I knew their names and I was friends with everyone. And so I had the people's vote. And so it was actually funny when I saw myself on the ballot with all the popular kids. You know, I was like, how in the hell am I even up here?